Hello, good morning, Colin. How are you today?
I'm very well, thanks, Dharam. And you?
I'm doing fantastic, and I am in Sydney at the moment, so it's fantastic weather here, beautiful summer day. What else we can ask?
That's right. We've turned the weather on for you, and always a delight to have you back in town.
Exactly, good, good. Look, thank you again, once again, Colin. This is our second session, but the first session was great, and then hence we decided we continue for a few more sessions. So Colin being my manager, my mentor, and he has been inspiring me or guiding me to do things bigger and better than what I was from is a quieter project manager, silent, a shy project manager to what I'm doing here now. Is I think the credit goes to Colin. While I keep talking again, but those are the things wherever you get impact in life, you do remember um, in those days from our EDS days.
I think you make your own luck, Darren, but you'll know in teaching project managers just how important it is to listen.
Hmm?
And I thank you for listening to some of what I had to say when we were working together many years ago.
Exactly, exactly. Life is, look, every day is a new day, and it's not about competing with somebody else. It's competing by yourself. How can I be a better person next day? Next day, what I did next day, I'm going to be a better person. And you keep evolving yourself, find new opportunities, and yeah.
I
And
think
honestly,
the term to use nowadays for that is agile, and that's what we're going to talk a bit
exactly.
about
So that's
today.
where we keep an eye on things, evolving things. In those days when Vex VMS was phasing out, COBOL was going out, we're talking about C++, Java, and all those things. Now we're talking about agile transformation, agile leadership, and artificial intelligence. So,
Absolutely.
we're going to talk about this topic, but first, what's your opinion about artificial intelligence?
My opinion is that for many decades, it's been a fantastic capability to put into play
Yeah.
to be able to get better outcomes for organisations and for individuals.
Yeah.
We're certainly seeing this year in 2023 an explosion of new thinking of
Mm.
how AI can be applied, and I'm all for that. I think it's quite exciting to see the leaps that people are making in terms of just thinking about AI. I'd love to see more practical application of it. That is happening, and yet there's so many more things we can do with it going forward. So it's a very exciting time.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's something new happening and revolutionary, and the way we are doing working versus now, and dependency on and some of the resources. Yes, not good for the work environment, but at the same time, this is making more productive, more efficient, and also again, we talk about garbage in, garbage out. If you provide the right information or better information, the AI will give you good result, good outcome. So look, we're going to talk more about it, and also how agility and agile leadership getting influenced or impacted by artificial intelligence. So my first question is, how does agile leadership impact AI driven projects for transparency, adaptability, and innovation in VUCA world?
Nice, easy question to begin with there, Darren.
Yeah.
There's a world of potential ways of answering that, and maybe I should refer to AI to get the answer.
Oh yeah, good
it's
idea.
it's something that ChatGPT could probably express more eloquently than myself. But look, within the topic that we're covering today, which is agile leadership and AI, probably worth starting with some definition. Agile, to me, was best explained by Usain Bolt, who I was watching very carefully as he was training for becoming the gold medal winner at the Olympics in 100 and 200 metres in two Olympics in a row. And what he needed to do to train to become the fastest person in the world. He talks quite a bit about agility in terms of how he would train. And he talks about the need to constantly pivot towards ways in which he can improve. More recently, it's probably covered well by the book Atomic Habits, and the fact that incremental improvement can come through just changing one or two things every day to be slightly better than they were. And Usain found that being agile, being flexible, changing what he was doing around his diet, around his exercise, around his sleep, around the interactions that he had with people were all important in being able to move slightly ahead. How does that matter in the context of AI? Well, what we've got through large language models and through the application of GPT is now the ability to have a more flexible and agile conversation, albeit with a computer, about where things need to go to move ahead. And you can very quickly get some amazing ideas and thinking behind what can I do to change my leadership, to be able to get better outcomes, to be able to take that tiny step forward in terms of improvement through the use of AI. That can then be reflected into the work itself, but it does start with leadership and understanding how can you lead better, how can you change better, because leadership really is all about change, and what are the ways in which you can be more flexible in what you're doing. So I think, GPT, large language models, the current Gen AI focus gives you new ways of thinking about how can I pivot in what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, look, I have started using it, and it's a mind blowing actually the way it can work. It can help you. Again, it has to be, you cannot depend on it as it is. You have to train the system to give you the best outcome. Just like if you hire a new person, you can't expect, even though he or she may be the best person in the world, but you need to train them what you're expecting from them. So you guide them, direct them. This is what my expectations. So and so, like, and same way you teach your AI system, like, this is what I want to see. This is how, and give them some starting point. Then only you will get the response. Even you're talking about change. How can what change strategy can apply? But we need to give the context about what we're talking about. What is this project? What is the change? And believe it or not, it will give you some steps in this strategy. In this case, you should do this. You should do this. It's a step-by-step process. Unbelievable. And so how come within a few seconds you have which you take probably hours to think and discussion with brainstorming with other people. You have some very nicely presented information on your fingertips. Again.
Well, that's right. I think the format of a GPT discussion, if I can call it that, an interaction, is probably the great leap forward. It's providing the content in a very easy way to consume. That doesn't solve some of the back-end issues, though, around how much that data that you're receiving, because it really is data when you boil it down, can be trusted. And we might touch on that a bit later in the conversation. It's not the panacea to all ills, because you still need to do your own bit of thinking along the way.
Yeah, quality of data. And yes, you have to, whatever information given by whatever media, you need to digest it and maybe convert it in your style. It should look like something you have written or you have created. People are nowadays smart enough to figure out this is actually AI generated or ChatGPT generated information. Like I see lots of PgMP application, PfMP application, and just like we are using, some people are using it, but I can see easily that this is because the formatting is almost same, the language, the way right, and I can see this is ChatGPT generated, and if I can see, and a PMI can also see the same way. Oh, okay, and then the problem is they reject the application without telling why this was rejected. So while the tools are there, and just like anything, we talk about fire, water, anything, all the important things. But if you don't use the fire properly, instead of cooking food, you can burn your house. Yeah. So look, we can keep talking about this transparency, and we should. And my next question, I move to the next question. As a senior executive, do you consider artificial intelligence an opportunity or threat?
I'll tell a bit of an analogy to describe how I feel about it. My 14-year-old son was in our kitchen buttering his bread with a knife the other day. Good use of the knife to butter some bread. His elder brother walked into the room, started pestering him a little, and he raised the knife.
Oh.
And instantly I said, look, you never do that. You don't use knives, even in jest, in that manner. And I think AI can be thought of in the same way. If you're using it to butter the proverbial bread and do good and use it for its intended purpose, it is a fantastic tool, and it should be thought through in terms of how a business or an organisation can make more use of it. But there will always be those people that find a way to use it for evil, and I don't think we'll ever get around that. You could also think it might use itself for evil and get to the point where it's starting to make its own decisions. All of that's possible with anything in life. I could extend the analogy to driving a car and whether you use it to get down the road or mow into a crowd of people. So I think there's danger, definitely. There's concern that we need to take in terms of how it's practically applied. And yet it's also a hugely liberating capability for us to take advantage of if used in the right way. So what do you do with that? The world over, people are considering how to regulate and legislate around AI. I've just had Biden in the US this week look into what else he can put in place by way of rules to govern the approach. Elon Musk was in the UK doing the same thing with the Prime Minister there earlier in the week. So, everyone's trying to work out what do we do to legislate it. That's important. We need to consider governance. But look, I was talking to a board member about this the other day and saying, think back to the last major change that you had in your organisation that required greater governance. Did you put in place a whole lot of rules for your organisation? Or did you understand the risks versus reward out of that change and work through how you might mitigate the risks while reaping the rewards? And he did say, look, for any change of that nature, really at a board level, you are looking at risk mitigation. It's a matter of understanding how will that thing, and in this case the thing being AI, be utilised in an organisation, and what are the risks associated, and how do you mitigate those risks? So I think any organisation or even any individual looking to deploy AI in earnest should really be considering that. How am I going to use it? What risks might that create? How do I mitigate those risks before I go and apply it?
Yeah.
And then apply it more. You'll find plenty of use cases, plenty of ways to apply it. And I think we really need it to solve some of the challenges that we have at the moment around the world.
Yeah, look, this is interesting because while we see this opportunity, there are threats as well, as you rightly mentioned. If it's not used properly, it can be, used as a weapon against, whatever ways. And it's happening nowadays. The deep, we can call this another technology, but it's a deep, deep fake videos are being created and voice is being created, and the pictures are created, and using some artificial intelligence. Yeah, so there are huge impact as well, negative impact to society itself. So we need to be, and you're right, the governance has to be there. The thing that what can we do to govern in this is very actually not very easy to because the internet available, everybody is using it differently. How can you just like how can you govern this? How can you put some rules around that? If somebody in China or somewhere in Russia or somewhere else they're doing something, you will not know if they are doing something. Like we talk about cloning or other technology where you can they started with the animal, but what about other somewhere it's already happening with human? Yeah. So look, we need to recognize there's always bad side, a good side as well. And good side, of course, we need to encourage people to find out more. And bad side, see if we can restrict or minimize it. And we need to see cost benefit analysis. Of course, we do. But here, this is going to stay here. Artificial intelligence is going to stay. So my suggestion is, if you're going to stay, and if you're worried, then why not jump in and learn about it? Get yourself into this instead of, oh my God, my job is going, what will happen? Okay, I will not have any job of a programmer or whatever, steno, either somebody taking type notes. And why don't you learn about, what can I use? I can use this technology to do my job even better. Instead of serving one client, now I can serve 20 other clients at the same time, because I can automate a lot of things. And I mean, it's actually the technology is here. So instead of worrying about it, get into this and learn about how can I be using this technology more efficiently.
Totally agree.
Yeah. All right, moving on. What are the key challenges in developing leadership through AI assessments and identifying potential talent gaps?
Everyone's on a very steep learning curve as things have developed in 2023 around generative AI. But that's just one type of AI to learn about. There are many other approaches that have been taken over the last few decades. In fact, some cite back to 1954 for AI. And Gen AI isn't necessarily the most powerful AI capability that's out there. I'm actually spending most of my time in what we're doing in our organisation focused on prescriptive analytics and using our machine learning capability to prescribe recommendations based off what the machine learning models are telling us about what to expect to happen next. So the starting point of that's predictive analytics and predicting or forecasting what's going to happen over a set period of time. We normally look maybe a month or two out into the future for what we're doing to see what are the expectations. Prescriptive analytics is then taking that a little further and saying not just what we think is going to happen, but what should you do about it? And I think that is more powerful than creating a new image, to creating a new song for our business. May be different in other organisations. There's certainly plenty of very important applications for generative AI, but we're actually finding more applications for that prescriptive analytics piece coming through AI for our business. For leadership and for really understanding talent gaps, I think leaders have a massive responsibility to get ahead of the curve on how their teams might be using AI and what the business might require or organisation might require in that space, so that they can lead the way in terms of how it's applied. And again, come back to education as being so important for that. I'm blessed to be a member of the Australian Computer Society, who are running regular events around the development of AI in Australia. I'm blessed to be working with Google in San Francisco and around the world on their deployment of AI capabilities. I'm constantly involved with our data science team on what they're doing to deploy AI. And all I can say is we ain't seen anything yet. There's so much more to come. So that leadership, again, needs to be agile. It needs to be flexible. It needs to be pivoting around what's coming out so frequently, understanding what it means for your organisation and then putting in place the training to be able to help people understand what it means for them and for their work. In a project management context, there's huge changes to come that'll need to be thought through in terms of how AI can make a difference. And, being able to prescribe analytically what to do next as a project manager has massive value to it as well. So huge training requirement.
Yeah. I mean, look, it is here, and we have to make sure we get on this and learn about it to be more efficient, more effective, and in the future jobs, believe it or not, they are not going to be specific to what project manager does. It may be, do you understand artificial intelligence and how utilization of artificial intelligence to do your job? While there are tools that are coming up, lots of tools, and I viewed VXDC we talked about, and there are other tools are coming up which are AI enabled and they give you alerts, before things are about to happen, like the risk management and something, the issues are happening. Before that happen, you will get alert. Why not? Because these are everything based on some warnings and signs, and if system can pick it up early enough, then you know the risk, like in a body, a human body, we get to say, okay, the doctor says you have a high blood pressure, chance of getting heart attack is high. That's based on, of course, the observation. If the system is there, they can regularly keep an eye on your blood pressure and your glucose and on your the oxygen, everything in your body. They can then give you signal, hey, heart attack is about to happen. Just make sure you go and see the doctor. Blockage is getting there. So if these technology, is there, we have to be there. So why not learn about it? Get some training, or corporate should get people into the training program and make the best use of this. Yeah. So
yeah, I think you've covered some excellent use cases there for how project managers are going to be impacted. Project management is, to my mind, about three things: communication, communication, and communication. You've got to communicate to your stakeholders for the project, your manager, the team that you're working with, your customer. It's all about just keeping everyone on the same page about how a project is proceeding. You mentioned risk management as one of those use cases to get early warning on. This is where I think for project managers, there's an incredible opportunity to feed data about your project into the machine learning models, into the large language models, and be able to give people, firstly, instant access to how that project is going, and providing status and giving an update on what's happening across the project. But secondly, as I say, the prescriptive analytics, being able to actually share ideas and recommendations on what to do to mitigate risks, to address issues, to do simple things like get you back on your critical path for your schedule if you found yourself starting to have delays in your project, or being able to solve out nutty resourcing optimization issues on your project where you can't quite see straight up where you're going to run into conflicts on resourcing, or being able to define areas of scope that haven't been clearly articulated so that you can work with your customer to really nail that scope and be able to move forward on the project with a much sounder foundation. All of those things, machine learning can help identify, can give you early warning on, and can give recommendations on how to fix. So I think for project managers, there's a whole world of change about to come in that regard, where a lot of the reporting and status updates and the like might have been through manual effort, might have been through Word or Excel reports, things like that. We're now going to see the whole AI capability open up new proactive ways of managing that going forward so that you can communicate better.
Exactly, exactly. Look, a few things you talked about. The important thing is the lesson learns. So if you are, I've worked for so many organizations. Their lesson learned is for sometimes for the namesake, or nobody's taking it. There's not many companies are taking seriously, but very important, especially when you talk about artificial intelligence. If you have been feeding the right information, what happened in your project program in the past, and when AI is looking, they can actually tell you, okay, you are about to do this program or project, and in the previous project program, you had these issues, and these can be your starting point to think about as a potential risk. And of course, you can think as a human can also do, but human has limitation. How far you can see, how much you can see, but the system can analyze lot more data than what you can do in the same period of time. The important thing is right data has to be there, and a lesson learned should be captured, not just optional. It should be mandatory to every project, every organization. The lesson learned has to be meaningful, not about finger pointing. It's about what happened in the project or program, and what we can do to avoid the projects, the same mistake again happening again. So that we as a human, as well as AI, if you're using AI, can give you more predictive, more prescriptive information rather than give you some arbitrary or some random numbers or random direction.
Absolutely. What we're seeing in our projects, and I'm really interested in what you're seeing in this regard too, Dharam, is we will now have a data and a digital strategy for our projects. And that data and digital strategy will outline for the project manager what they need to consider by way of use of technology like AI, the approach that they're going to take for data ownership across the project, how they're going to leverage that data for better communication. And it almost becomes another stream to what PMBOK covers, where you've got a data or a digital stream to it. Love to get your take on that, whether you think there should be a digital piece to the project management puzzle as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Digital is part of us, and we cannot live without that. Uh, how much digital or artificial intelligence we should be using in a project program? Of course, it should be a company policy, and encourage. And I'm thinking of the days when I'm working with you, when we have to start a project GST or something. Remember those opters going through GST thing. We have to write a schedule, and it takes many days before we can have a meaningful schedule. But if you have a right, of course, information, starting point information, intelligence system, you can have this at least starting point schedule in no minutes. And then of course you look at
Yes.
resourcing and other constraints. Then you have to refine it. But that digital part or this artificial intelligence part can be a game changer for that organization, and getting to
Great.
do more and more projects and a shorter time, more efficiency, and happy customer, happy teams, happy organization.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
what we need to aim for. Yeah.
Great, great. Okay, let me take you to the next question. What is the current impact of AI on project management? I think we already start talking about it. How do you, as a senior executive, value this technology going to add right now or in the future?
Yeah, right now, as I say, it is about that prescriptive analytics. It's about helping our customers with the work that we're doing with software products to be able to show what the impact of their decisions will be
Mm,
on their organisation, rather than just telling them what happened. It's moved to telling them what will happen with a fair degree of accuracy and being able to prescribe options for them to take. So a lot of what our software and our AI will generate is, here are 4 ways that you could move forward
mm.
to be able to get better outcomes for your organisation. And here are the pros and cons of moving forward in those 4 ways. Which way would you like to go? And I think of project managers facing that sort of decision every day of the week. They've got to work out, what choice do I make here for the project? It could be a resourcing conundrum that they're looking to solve. It could be a schedule conflict that they're trying to work their way through. It could be trying to keep everything on budget and having to make some trade-offs to say, should I take this action or another action? What I love about prescriptive analytics is the ability to analyse your project, understand what options are available to take, see what the impact of those options will be, and then recommend what is the best way forward. I always like to say there's 4 options to put in front of a customer if you're a project manager. The one that's going to make them really sick, the one that's going to kill them, the one that's going to send them broke, and the one that you want them to choose. And I think with AI now, those sort of options can be very quickly identified through large language models, through prescriptive analytics in your machine learning models, to be able to go back to customers and say, here are the trade-offs, here are the ways that we can move forward with the project, which one do you want to take? And very quickly reach a decision on that because you understand what the implications are going to be. So I see huge value for project managers in that. And it's here and now. This is not future capability. This is the capability you can get in AI right now. It leads to agile leadership, as we've been talking, because if you've got those options and that prescriptive analytics telling you what you could do next, you can very quickly pivot or be flexible to make a decision fast about where you take things next and make changes very quickly, rather than in the old paradigm, you'd have to wait for a weekly report in Excel to tell you what's going on and what choice to make. And even that wouldn't necessarily tell you what to do next, it just tell you what happened.
Exactly.
So that's the big difference, I think, that project managers can make today.
Yeah, so we're talking about what happened to what's going to happen.
That's it, in a nutshell.
Exactly. So, we're talking, I think, more about decision tree. And we have learned in the PMBOK about decision tree, the
Yes.
2 option, 3 option, and expected monetary value, EMV calculation. But if you have a system which can look at the past and look at your options and give, if you take option number 1, these are the options, and these are the probability of success, failure, probability of success, failure, and these are the expected monetary value. And then, it's become so easy for you to make decisions.
Really is. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's being able to see the impact of your decisions before you make them, so that you can make them better and faster.
Yeah. And doesn't matter, like, sometimes a decision is given, system is creating, but you feel your gut feeling, I think, system is saying, but I think this, I will go for the path 2, which is more realistic, while the system is saying, because system is based on, of course, data and some past and some potential future. But your gut feeling can also, give you some idea. Okay, this is great, but I think my feeling is I should go for the path B because this is more known and more, the chance of success is much higher. There are more risks, and this is where I'm mitigating as well.
Oh, look, I think there will always be that role to play, and why good project managers are so important to have, that they can apply their intuition. And a lot of that intuition will come from expertise and experience. So, someone that's been through many, many projects, they've faced all of these issues that we're talking about time and again, will certainly value having that recommendation put forward. But they're still the best place to make the choice because they'll understand the full context of the project. So many projects are actually about people. And the one thing that AI will never capture is that people factor. The hard data won't capture the soft impacts that can be had if you make a project decision. And that's so important to bring into it too, which is why the human at the end of the day should always be the one making the decision.
Exactly. And should we have during interviews, a question about how much do you know about artificial intelligence in project management? How can you?
I think it's a really important thing to be covering for sure.
Exactly, exactly. All right. How can AI enhance team collaboration and communication in agile projects?
Nowadays, projects get managed through many different tools to communicate progress. Even within our team, I can point to Slack, MS Teams, all the Atlassian products, which are fantastic Australian-based products, say Jira, Confluence, etc. You might be capturing some of the project data in SharePoint or the like. You might have all the Microsoft suite of MS Project, etc., or maybe you've gone Primavera. There's probably 50 different tools being used to communicate what's happening within your project, technology tools that are in play.
Mm.
How do you bring all that together? How do you get a sense of what's going on across your project out of all those different tools? What communication method do you use to tell people what's happening next and be able to share with them, current status updates and future status updates? You could spend your life trying to correlate all the different tool sets. And the number of times, even within our team, someone says, "Oh, were you looking on Slack for that piece of information?" No, I put it on MS Teams. And I say, oh. This is where large language models can make such a huge difference. If you've got a large language model for your project and you're capturing all of those data sources in that large language model, then you've got a very quick, easy user interface through your GPT on top of that large language model to be able to pull that information out through simple query. So, you can say, hey, GPT, please tell me how many days delayed are we on this project task in our work breakdown structure? Or to bring in the prescriptive analytics, hey, GPT, I think we're going to be running 5 days over on our critical path. How can I bring us back online in our schedule? And then you'll get the recommendations on what you can do based on all of those different data sources being tapped into. So I see a massive opportunity for all the collaboration tools to be collated into GPT interfaces under large language models for your project to be able to give you that instant view of what's happening. Haven't seen that happen yet, but I think we'll see that very quickly being adopted going forward.
I think, Colin, you're forgetting about VXDCC with single platform with
Yes,
everything in one
I am.
place.
Yeah,
You how
absolutely.
can you forget? I've shown you that. So it is where everything is happening in one place. You don't talk about multiple 50 different systems with the sales happening, resource management happening, and your document management, your issue risk, everything happening in one place. So, yes, there are tools available, and not just having try to, I will suggest organizations to look around and see what are the best tool or tools which can, combine together all we're doing. Do we really need 50 different tools and have problem of duplication of information on this system, that system, and and again, VXDCC have been a part of that for a long time, and I'm
Yeah,
talking this again because I'm so much passionate about this. So much work has been done in this. The kind of graphical interface the information is giving now is beyond my imagination when I started on that, and I'm sure when you saw that 5 years ago, I think 5 years ago,
yes.
versus
Yeah, it
now,
would be about 5 years ago.
it's a very, very powerful platform now.
Well, I think that's exactly the sort of thing that people should be taking advantage of, that
Mm.
collaboration capability,
Yep.
and AI just extends that even further, for sure.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah, my next question is, what are ethical consideration when using AI in agile leadership?
Well, everyone immediately goes to concerns over data security
Mm.
and whether or not the
Correct.
data in your AI model is going to get shared around the world. And, can it be hacked? Can people do something bad with it. And of course they can if you don't have the right controls in place. So data security and cybersecurity, number one concern in that regard. That's quickly followed by data privacy and making sure that the data that you do have and the way that you're using it is conscious of the impact on individuals and being considered in that way. But I would argue there's an even bigger risk right now because of the way Gen AI is creating or synthesizing data. We're in a world now where you don't know where the data that you're looking at came from. You don't know whether it was real data from the real world or synthesized data from a generated world. And that leads to what I think is the biggest risk going forward, data veracity, the truth behind the data. It's something that Biden talked about this week in terms of how deep fakes can be identified, being able to watermark any images or the like that are created with Gen AI. But if you're only worried about images or songs or things being created in that regard, you're missing the whole world of synthesized data that's out there where people have created massive data sets based on what they think is right rather than what is actually right. So knowing where your data came from, trusting the source, that I think is the biggest issue.
Yeah. So as you correctly mentioned, data privacy, data protection, cybersecurity, these are a major concern. And if that's when you're doing a chat GPT, what you're asking, of course you're providing some information. Just be careful about what not to provide, your client's
That's
name,
right.
your own name, on your email address, phone number. Who knows who's watching this data, what they're going to do with
Totally.
this data. So yes, maybe make it more generic rather than giving specific name. Hey, I'm talking about, tell me more about Colin Dominish. Yeah, it's Colin Dominish, great guy. And sometimes you do that. Hey, hang on, I know Colin, but he's not the same Colin which this is talking about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, certainly AI is already making up its own story about who you are and what you are, and having knowledge of where the data source came from is going to be more and more imperative.
Yeah. Look, there with that, just like any technology or anything, what we do, it has a positive and negative side, and we need to recognize, ethical part or bad part, and see how can you minimize the impact. We have been talking about this, and find the best out of that, and use it for the advantage of your project program and the organization and your personal growth, and while keep having some safeguards around you. Very, very important. Very important. Any last minute thoughts?
No, I think we've covered a lot. It's a broad topic. I would certainly encourage your viewers, Dharam, particularly if they are in the project management space, just to be thinking about how have I considered AI for my project? How can I show that I'm agile in my thinking, flexible, nimble, looking to pivot by having AI form part of the approach being taken. And look, small steps are always good. Just make a couple of changes to get going on the journey of applying AI. Don't try and tackle the elephant. Read a great book on how big things get done the other day, talking about mega projects around the world and what makes them successful. And that book talks about just Lego blocks. Put things into modules, into small components, move forward that way. And I think for AI, that's a great way to show agility by bringing just a little Lego block into play, put that into action, and see if that works for you, and then build on that Lego block with another Lego block to move forward, rather than trying to take it all on at once. So chunk the elephant. It's always a good project management approach.
We can easily eat elephant if we have chunk by chunk.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not in favor of eating elephant, but I mean, you are more than welcome to do that.
I have before.
Have you? Okay.
Yes.
Don't tell anyone.
Once.
Once. Yes. Okay. Is it a big one or small one?
How many? So there was a restaurant in Kenya that served elephant, and
really?
I had a piece of elephant just to try it. Tastes like chicken.
Piece of elephant. I was talking about you talking whole elephant.
Not the whole elephant.
All right, Doc. Thank you, Colin. It's always a pleasure talking with you. And
lovely speaking with you, Dharam.
Yeah. So it was so insightful, and especially you are in the technology, you are doing the job and utilizing this technology now as we speak. And coming from you directly is so much powerful. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity of giving back to the community.
No problem. Thanks, Dharam. Thanks to our viewers.
Yeah. See you soon. Bye.